Yeah, so I'm going to spend some time now talking to you all about how things are looking at JetBrains for game development. If you're new to JetBrains and game dev, or if you know a few things, we'll have a look at what the offerings are, what's new, what are some cool, interesting things, and so on. Also interested in any questions you got. So I'm happy to answer sort of any questions you fancy throwing in the chat. I'll see what I can do about that. We can always drag Alex back on stage to answer a few more questions as well with regard to the C++ and Unreal support. But in the meantime, we've got about 20, what have we got now? Yeah, just a little under 20 minutes now to sort of talk about a number of things which are related to game dev and Rider. So first of all, I'm just going to do the little bit of an intro. If you're not already familiar with what we do for game development, our main product really is Rider, which is an IDE for working with game development. It works with Unity, Unreal, and Godot. And in fact, let's switch over and ignore the slides for a bit and actually have a look at something that we've got here. One thing you might notice as well is look at this. Look at this. We're in the nice shiny islands UI. It's all just sort of looking a little bit nicer there. Some nice coloring on the background, and those tool windows and everything got rounded corners. It's a little bit of a visual refresh that we've just done in the 2025.2 release in the last week or two, and in the 2025.3 release that's coming soon that we're currently in the early access preview for. So a little bit of a visual refresh, and it's really nice. I like it. This is good. So this is Rider. This is Rider with a Unity application. You can see on the left here, we've got our Unity tool window, and you can see the files pretty much as you would do in the Unity project view itself. You've also got, the assets folder. You've got your packages folder. Oh, let's zoom out a little bit there. Packages, so you can look and see what the different packages are and navigate around your code like that. I can see in my different folders here what's going on. And so on, but we can do a whole lot better than that. We can search for things as well. We are indexing everything when we open up your project, and so we can very quickly navigate around and go and find something. Let's go and find was it spawn manager? I think is something spawn instruction. Okay. I forget where I'm. Tower defense main menu. That's always a good one. TDMM. You don't have to type the whole thing. You can very quickly type the initials of something, and we'll match that against classes, against files, against symbols as well. So you can very quickly navigate around and find your code. This isn't just about Unity either. It's also the same in Unreal. So I've got an Unreal project open here, just a Lyra sample application, and again, we've kind of opened up, we've got the source, we've got the editor, the game itself, we've got plugins loaded in here, and a whole load of other things too. So we can navigate around and see all the files, or we can just use Shift, and we can go to, I'm already at camera mode, let's go to, is it player controller? And so you can very quickly see that we've indexed everything. We can go and find a whole load of things. We can find symbols and usages. We can hit tab and go and find classes. And it was a player controller. That's what I should have gone for. I always forget the prefix. Hit tab again and go and find files. And then obviously we've got more symbols there too. And so we can very quickly navigate around and jump to your code. So let's go back to camera mode. See, it's found the file there, but I could always move over and find camera mode as a class. So we've got a great way of sort of navigating around. Once we're in a file, then we've got a whole load of inspections and quick fixes. Let's just jump back to Unity for a sec. This one here, the Tower Defense main menu, has got an inspection here saying we've got some virtual members but no inheritors. We don't need to have that. We can quickly clean those up. If I scroll down, we can see we've got virtual members there, unnecessary. Oh, sorry. So I can just do Alt-Enter, and this is then our sort of second main thing. Shift is all about searching and finding something. Alt-Enter going to go and find and fix things. And here I can just make we've got a suggestion that I can make the class sealed. And if I kind of go down now, you can see my virtual items have gone, and it's cleaned up the code for me. We've got a whole heap of inspections and quick fixes for loads of different things. Things from naming standards. So if I was in Unreal and I'd named my class wrong with the wrong prefix, it would tell me, it would give me a hint to say it should be a player controller or whatever. It might be using a new C# language feature instead of an older syntax. It might be a newer, more concise way of doing it. It's a great way to learn the language and use things. Or it could just be sort of syntax. What am I trying to say? The layout of your code, the syntax, and how that looks too. So there's loads of things there. There's additional inspections for um, language features. Sorry, for the engine features as well. So if I go to, let's go to my null objects item here. We've got various items here to give me a highlight to say that something interesting is happening there. Let me just zoom in on that a little bit. I'm comparing a Unity object against null. We've got a highlight to show that something extra is happening there. We're doing additional check there to make sure that the underlying Unity object exists and is still active. If I jump to, let's have a look at which one. Yeah, invalid method signature here. Unity's got a whole load of inspections like runtime initialize unload method attribute, and that's got the wrong method signature. So I can very quickly use Alt Enter again and fix up my code. So lots of great features in the box to help you work with Unity, with Unreal and Godot. But the things which are really kind of interesting is that it's not just the files that we index, but also the blueprints and the assets and the serialized data as well there. So switching back to my Unreal project here, Lyra, I can see I've got my Lyra camera mode item, and above it, just at the top here, let me just zoom in so you can definitely see that. We've got this link here saying that there are 4 derived blueprint classes. And if I click that, you can actually see what those classes are. And in fact, if I click on those, because I've got the engine running, the editor running, sorry, then it'll bring up the editor for that particular blueprint, which is very useful and a great way of being able to quickly see where your code is being used and see how your designers are using it and find all of that. It's not just the classes that are being used either. We also understand what the values are too. So here I've got this blend time property here. That's being changed in 2 different blueprints here. We've got a value of 4 in this particular blueprint and then 0.22 in there. Let me just go and change this one. If I go and find blend, where is it? 0.22. Let's change that to 3.4. And if I just do save now and swap back, you can see now you might have just caught that flash there as everything updated. And if I click that now, we can also see that it's updated and we've got 3.4 for our blueprints. Really great way of understanding how your code's being used, how you're inside the editor itself, brings that sort of serialized data into the editor. And we do the same thing for Unreal too. Sorry, for Unity. Those two. This is where I'm bouncing between the two. I'm going to say the wrong names for sure. If I go to my wobbling homing projectile, I can see this being used inside this prefab. And if I clicked on that, it would open it up in the Unity editor as well. Is that going to work? There it is. And so it highlights that, and then I can then start working with it. And again, I'm seeing the values that are being used there. This turning time, for example, has got a value of 1. And my wobble direction change speed's got a value of 8. So again, you just bring all that information closer to where you're working so you get to see what's going on. Other useful integrations we've got are things like bringing in logs. So we've got the Unity log here, and you can see all the errors for my dodgy code and exceptions that are going on there. It's much better when it runs, and I've got some runtime exceptions going on. We've got a similar thing with the with Unreal, and so you can see the Unreal editor log there. You can look at messages, warnings, and errors. I haven't got any errors in that one, which is a good thing. And so you can filter by the verbosity and also by the trace level as well. So there's a lot of great sort of interaction and interactivity you've got with that. So tons more things that I could show you about Rider and Unity and Unreal. But I want to kind of move on and show a few other things and talk about some of the newer things, really. So if you're already familiar with what I've just shown you, then we've got some new things as well. So in the last release or two, then we've been working on a number of things for the different engines, and I'll go through these through the different engines there. Firstly, with Unity, we've made a bunch of fixes for the debugger. There's been a number of problems where the debugger could get into a really awkward situation based on how different your code was, what type of code was being debugged, in what order things would happen, when things would get breakpoints would get hit, the debugger could get into a state where it stopped working. And so we've had some fantastic help from the community to help us understand what's going on there, understand the logs, and have a deep dive into what's going on. And there's been a number of fixes there to work with the debugger. We've also got support for mixed mode debugging, which is really quite useful if you are doing both C++ and C#. You can step between the two. That is just a checkbox in the run configuration, and you can then sort of start debugging C++ as well. And then two nice new features are the frame viewer shader debugger and the Unity profiler integration. Now, if I just jump back over to my Windows machine here, we'll have a quick look at the frame viewer debugger. I've got a Windows, I've got a Unity application running here, and what I want to do is I want to understand what's going on when I'm actually rendering a frame and how things are working. So the first thing I need to do is go up to these three dots here, and why is that not showing me what I want it to show? Okay, maybe because I've already done it. What I really want is this little icon here. What this needs to do is give us a button and an action which can capture the current view in render doc. So you need to have render doc installed for this. It's got integration with Unity already. You can capture a frame in render doc and then do some work with it. And if that's not available, there is a option in these three buttons here to say load render doc and find it. So let's just very quickly get this up and running. I'm going to start playing this game a little bit. So we'll do that, kick off a wave like that, and we can see that something's happening. And I'm going to click my button here to capture a frame. Let's just come out of play mode here. And if I jump into render doc, we can see there's my frame. And if I save this, let's just call it TD for now. If I save that, I can actually switch back into Rider, and now I can open this. I can open up the frame viewer itself. Sorry, the frame view of this particular item. And you get to see all the different steps that are going on here. We can change the way we want to look at it and have a look at all events, and you get to see everything. And so you could dive through all the different calls that have been going on there, or we can narrow it down to the shaders with sources that are part of my Unity project here. You can see the texture that's being referenced here, rendered there. You can see once I've selected something, you can see the vertices involved and so on. And so we can select those, and then you can actually, there you go, you can see different items. We can zoom out and have a look at that, and if you wanted to zoom in on a particular thing, area, you can do. And also you can have a look to sort of see the values of each pixel. I'm going to choose this particular pixel. Let's have one of those over there. And you can see we've got a debug button here. I can click debug, and we can actually then start debugging this particular pixel with this shader. You can see I'm actually using the ambient occlusion shader there, and we've got the values that are available to me here. And I can start to step through that, and I can actually see the values being set there. P0, for example, is being set. And as we go, we can step through and work with the code that we've got. If I just step one more time, I've got a function here, get back normal. I can actually step into that, and so we can sort of debug on that. In fact, we've got a breakpoint set there, so I could have just run this, carried on running it, and it would hit the breakpoint and start to debug at that point. I can stop the debugger, I can switch to vertices, I could select a vertex there, and I can do the same thing here for my vertices too. So shader debugging is a really nifty piece of integration. How are we doing for time? We're good. Very, very quickly, let's have a look at profiler integration. I've got another game here. It's the same game, but on Mac. I've done some deep profiling. I can select a frame here, and if I have a look in my list of items, we can see that this target updater is taking 87% of the time here. And so if I double click on that, it should take me back to here, but let's just jump here anyway. If I go to targeter, because I know it's there, I've got a button in the top here, which is telling me that there is a new snapshot ready to fetch. I can load this manually. I can have it automatically refresh. I've got it configured here so that I have to do it manually. That should load it, and it's all loaded. And you can see now we've got a whole load of useful information here telling us how long these particular calls took. And we can go down as far as our aim turret here to say that this one took 62 milliseconds. And if I step into that, we can then see further. And then you can see, if I scroll down far enough, you can actually see the horrible bit of loop in there that I put to make it work. And when you swap frames, then you can actually sort of see other more useful stuff. Now we've got a bunch of good stuff in Godot as well. Lots of new features for GD script. We've actually brought in the GD script plugin from the community. That's now maintained by JetBrains, and that gives us completion of code, Godot nodes, resources, doc tooltips, parameter hints, and so on. And if I find the page with that's on. So yeah, we've got a GD script here. For example, now we can do see our navigation to our files there. I can control click and go to the file. You can see that there are inspections going on here so that the item could be given a type, so we can actually validate the type there. And we also get a scene preview tool window as well. So we've got like a view, very much like you get in the Godot editor itself, to look at how your scene is looking. So zoom back over here. Far too many screens and windows. Other useful things. Actually, I wanted to just quickly show that with this here. If with this here, I can do find usages to see where pair scene is being used, and again, you get to see our normal sort of find usages, and we can also do a rename, and that will update where it was defined and the name there as well. So we've got renames as well as find usages. There's also file templates, and we've also added UID file support as well. So UIDs, very much like Unity's meta files, allows you to identify a resource by an ID rather than a name. Whenever we refactor something, rename a file, will also update the UID file that goes with it. Just quickly now, looking at some Unreal Engine stuff. These are a little harder to demo for some things, so I've got the release notes that we've been working with, because these are most useful. A lot of really, really useful things for native debugging. So working with a native debugger, one thing which is really good is the suppressing low-level exceptions. So if Unreal wants to use the int3 instruction, for example, to just signal that something should stop, which can be used in asserts, for example, then quite often that can be a complete pain, and it just stops you working. It continually stops. What happens now, and if I just jump over to this blog post here is really useful, by the way. It gives you more details as to what's going on. If you hit one of these low-level exceptions, the code will stop, and you get a little sort of exception marker in the gutter of the editor there, and you can click on that, and you've got the ability to suppress it. It's like the opposite of a breakpoint, essentially. It's like the code is going to stop here, and we'll add a breakpoint that you can then disable so that it will actually skip it. So you can skip this particular exception globally at this line or at a particular address. And there are a few other useful things with that there as well. Let me just jump back over here. Other nice things that have been added are step filters, so you don't have to step in. If you're just hitting step into, you don't going to want to step into the standard C++ library and so on. You can pause all the processes, and we've also, when you hit a debugger, we automatically attach the child processes. We'll pause those when you hit a breakpoint and so on. Lots more useful features in native debugging there as well. Lots of speed ups as well. Lots of work on NatVis type stuff. Just want to shout out that we've got support for consoles as well. So you've got support for PlayStation 5 and Xbox. You obviously have to sign up with your developer things for that, and we're good to go with that. We can't do anything without talking about AI. And there's some really nice new features which have got AI support for Rider. We've got AI Pro. The AI Pro license is included in your Ultimate and All Products pack. And there are some nice new features as part of AI Assistant itself. So if I just call up AI Assistant, a number of new things. We've got new models in there as well. So you've got the latest models there just from having a JetBrains subscription. You've got access to Claude 4.5, for example, GPT-5 here. We've got different modes available to you as well. So we've got the chat mode that you know and loved for just asking questions and understanding what's going on with APIs. quick edit agent, and also we've got support for Claude agent there as well. We brought Claude into our AI assistant, so you can use Claude code essentially as an agent through the chat window. But we also have support for Junie, which is our own agent. And if I can find the right one here, then there's a number of useful things you can do with Junie. The first one you can do is click here to generate project-specific guidelines, which is a great way of giving Junie a lot of information about your project and a lot of your code, and make it work with how you want it to work. You can then add those files continually. These live in this guidelines.md file here, for example. And then once you've got Junie working, you can give it a task and you can get it to do something for you. If I go to my final page here, for example, here I asked Junie to shake the camera whenever whenever the character is hurt, is damaged, takes damage. And so it has built me a C++ class here to shake the camera. It understands how the camera shakes, how you have to attach that together, and how you wire that up then with a particular character when they take damage. And I think I'm just about out of time. Very quickly wanted to mention Team City. We've got native Perforce support. We've got support for Unreal and working with the build graph engine there. Unity as well. We can do automatic license activation and deactivation. Lots of fun things on the roadmap. More support for GD script with updated parsing and updated debugging. We're actually pushing a lot of things back to Godot itself to try and improve the work there with debugging and so on. There'll be a nice inspection there for leading white space as well for anybody who wants to copy and paste code in while retaining the significant white space. Mobile development is going to be a bit of a thing for Unity and Unreal. We've got more improvements for the profiler integration and the frame viewer. Unreal's getting more support for NatVis and, again, performance with indexing blueprints and so on, and also code completion and highlighting in inactive preprocessor branches. So that is essentially a quick tour of where we're at. I actually ran out of time without answering any questions, but I'll jump into the chat now and go for it. Alex, I don't know if there's one or two questions to answer before we bring on our next speaker, who's already waiting in the room.
Sure thing. I have just one little question. So I've noticed there was a mention of Unity profile integration. And what about the real game engines like Unreal? Do we plan to integrate the profiling system into that?
Do we? I don't know. Let me just ask our resident Unreal Engine expert here, Alex. Do we have any intentions to integrate Unreal Profiler?
God dang it! Yes, we have, but that's a long story. Like the first iteration we mostly target right now is to make support and mobile support, and hopefully one day we'll actually have the profile integration. And one little question just before the next one. What about the console support?
Console support. So console support for Unity, for example, is in the box with Unity itself. So we don't have to do anything. That just works. But for Unreal and native, then we've got a couple of plugins which you can download. So that would be on the website. If you just go and search for Rider for consoles, then you get to a web page where you can register with your proper developer credentials for Sony or Microsoft, and then you'll be able to download the appropriate plugin, which will allow you to then sort of debug, deploy, and work with both PlayStation 5 and Xbox.